Hey everybody, we're going to talk today about a little bit of website for our school video production class, and it's going to be the start of a fitzNewsArchive page. So I'm going to work in Dreamweaver here. We're going to make sure that we get Dreamweaver set up to work. But what we're going to do first to make sure that we don't get messed up is we're going to actually make a new site in Dreamweaver. So up over here in the selector, we're going to go to Manage Sites, and we're going to hit a new site. And I'm just going to call this one Fitz News. Oh, bad typer, sorry. And then what you want to do is then you want to hit the little folder right here. So what you want is in your documents, you're going to create a new folder. And we're going to do two levels. F1TZ. So fits together is going to be the outer site. You may already have this, I'm not sure, but this is going to be because we want this to look like it's going to on the server. So fits together is going to be the start right here. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to do a new folder inside there, fits news, just like that. Because we want this Fitz News site to be in a self-contained folder. That way we don't have to worry about where all the files go. Inside of your Fitz News folder, let's go ahead and do an images folder. And then we'll do a CSS folder. And then we will do a script. Let's not call it script because that could get confusing. We'll just call it JS for JavaScript. We may or may not need it. We'll see. But that way we have our server set up properly, or our site on here to go properly. So before you create it, click back on Fitz News here. Make sure Fitz News is indeed the folder that you have selected. And then it should say Fits Together, Fitz News. And it actually doesn't. It says JS, so it's in the wrong spot. So it should just say Fitz News right there. If it says anything else after that, do not do it. You want documents, Fits Together, Fitz News. That's what we want. So go ahead, save it, done. And then all the files we create will automatically go into here. So next up, new file. And what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the archive page for right now. So go ahead and you're going to create an HTML page. And what we're going to do for our site, if it's not right, you want developer to be like this. So our files are on the left, and then our stuff that we're writing is going to be on the right. This is my preferred way to go about it. And it is likely the way that yours is set up. So Fitz News, we're going to go ahead and do a new file. We just did that. We're going to save this file. Should say Fitz News. We'll save this as the archive. And what we're going to do, this archive page, we're going to do two different ways. My goodness gracious, so many messages. We're going to do this the not bootstrap way, and then we're going to do this the bootstrap way. The first version here is going to be the bootstrap, or the non-bootstrap way. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to change this, Fitz News Archive. And then we're going to divide our page. So we have these two tags in the head that need to be indented. For the body, we're going to give it some space, and then we're going to divide it up. So the header, and I must have a different setting on here. So header, we'll do the nav. Your tags will probably automatically pair, mine or not. We're going to leave a spot for a div with a class of jumbo. We'll just call it Jumbotron, just to make it like Bootstrap. We'll go ahead a div with a class of container. Whoopsies. And then our footer as well. So we'll talk about actually developing more things in like the header and the footer. So let's go ahead and start with the header first. We'll just put in there a link here. So we'll call this one fitztogether.com. And we'll just F1 TZ, my bad. And we'll just kind of keep that in the header section for right now. So one thing that we can do real quickly is we can go to the website. Let's grab the link. And since this is going to be all part of the same website with the school store here, we want to make sure that we can just link back to whatever we put as the home page and have it be good. So I copied it. Remember, you need the protocols up in there as well, which when you copy it and you put your href in, it should work just fine for you. So we'll just keep that as our header right now. We have a lot of code to write. Nav will be a placeholder. Jumbotron, let's go ahead and we'll just leave that as a placeholder as well. We'll put an H1 in there that says fitzNewsArchive. And we'll go ahead, we'll put an HR under there too, just for fun. And we may as well, while we're in here, put that we created advanced web design. Apparently I have missed keys here, extra. And then we'll just put that this is indeed September of 2019 when we're doing this. So that's a good enough stuff inside of the Jumbotron. We can go ahead and we can add much, much more later to that. Let's go ahead inside of container. And this is where the bulk of our code is going to go. So we're going to have Flexbox layout that we set up. So we're going to put a div in there, and we're going to put that with the video container. So all of our videos that we make, all the old fitzNews URLs or whatever, all the old videos are going to go inside of this video container. And then inside, we're going to go ahead, we're going to split it up. This is stuff that's definitely similar to what we've done before. So we're going to create a div to hold all of the stuff. So we're going to go ahead and create that with a class of vidbox. We'll just call it that. And that's going to be the main chunk for each one that we do. So let's go ahead and comment this up. We're getting a lot of these already. So we'll say that this is end of the vidbox. Then we'll again say this is the end of the video container. And then this one is the end of container. In pages like this, where we are designing actual things, commenting this stuff up is going to be a super critical portion to make sure that we don't get lost and we know exactly what we are writing and we don't miss div tags, all those good things. So let's go ahead. I think what we can do is we can just probably put an H3 on here and say, we'll put date. Because what we'll do is, obviously, as we archive these, we're going to put them on as they come. So each one of these will have a date with it. We'll go ahead. We'll put our image tag on there, src of hashtag. Actually, we probably don't want image. Sorry, my mistake. Each one of these will be iframe is what they will be. And we'll just put the iframe tag in there. Let's put a comment above that that says we're going to replace this when we do this. It's like the British spelling of link. I don't know. Put the YouTube link here. So each time we have Fitz News, there'll be embed code that we get from YouTube, and we'll replace this iframe with that. I put it on there for the simple reason that I would like to make sure that as we style this with CSS, that it indeed looks like we want it to look. And then let's go ahead. We'll put our P on there. And then we'll say that this is going to be our description of our video of this episode. Description of this episode, I think, works probably just fine. So let's go ahead. Let's remove some of this space. And then we'll leave some in the paragraph there. And go ahead, save. And yes, iframe. Oh, did I screw that up? My bad. Most of the time when we do iframe, we paste it on. That'll make our red go away. Anyways, so we have this. Let's go ahead and preview it. It's not going to look like anything at all as it goes, but we may as well, right? So there we go. Our iframe is going to go there. Our description. Let's go ahead, let's CSS this thing up and go from there. So our CSS, in this case, we'll just put it on the page. For a site like this, we're probably going to do a good amount in an external file. And actually, let's go ahead and let's do it both ways. So we're going to save this thing up. Let's go ahead and do a new file. And let's go ahead and do this one as a CSS file. The one thing that we want to make sure that we don't do is we don't want to duplicate a bunch of code. In this case, we'll probably have it in both places. We'll have it in our external file and our internal. So we'll save this thing as fitznews.css. And of course, we have a folder for CSS. So let's go ahead and put it in our CSS folder. Now we have, you can go ahead and just close that file right now, because what we're going to do is at the top here, we're going to put our link tag on. So we'll put our href as CSS fitznews CSS. Our relationship to our page is going to be a style sheet. The type is indeed text and CSS. So when we save this and we hit F5, I think it is, it's been a little bit. When we refresh our page, I think it is F5. I forgot though. Let's go ahead. We can probably right click and maybe refreshes it in there. I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and do our splits. Code and design here. And in this one, I want the in the view here, we want to split, and we do not want to split horizontally. we want to split vertically. And then indeed in view, we also do not want to have the design view on the left. So we'll unclick that. That's the way I like to look at it. Now you see that our Fits News right here popped up, our CSS. What we're going to do is we're going to write the CSS for our general page in here. So like for all the header, footer, all the general sections, and then we'll write the specific things for the box on the other page. So let's go ahead and start this off. So we're going to first start with our star, our select all. And we're going to just say margin of 0, padding is 0, and a box sizing of border box, because that is definitely the things we want to make it so we can go and not have to worry about the built-in formatting. So then for header, what we're going to say is that we want a minimum height of, we'll say 6 VH. I'm going to go ahead and do something you may not do at school here. You may not want to. I'm going to do code in a live view, so it changes everything in live real time here. It's just working it easier for me here. Minimum height of 6 VH, and we'll just say that we want a padding of 2 VH. And then that looks a little bit more like what we're looking for there. Let's just give it a light background color real quick so we can differentiate. We'll call this, we'll go beige with it. Why not? So nav section. Let's go ahead and just give this a background color. We'll go black and a color of white. And then that way we at least have our placeholder for that. We don't have any links inside of nav right now, so we'll just skip the link CSS for that. We'll do it later. Jumbotron. We're going to say that we want that to have a minimum height of, we'll say, 30 VH and a max height of 60 VH. That way we have a little bit of property, and we'll go ahead and go background color of light gray. So that way we have our little bit of color. So let's go ahead and do container next. So container is going to have a width of 80%. For some reason, I can't find the percent key. Sorry. A margin of auto. And we'll say that we want it to have a padding of 2 VH as well, just so it doesn't touch the outside. One thing that we should do real quickly, because we definitely want all of our content to line up, is in our source code. One thing I missed is in Jumbotron. We should have a class of container around our Fits News right here. So we'll just go ahead and do that real quickly. And line up our content. In Bootstrap, that's what the the container class does, is it's used to line up content. That's what we'll use it for here as well. So then we'll just leave the text as it is. We don't need to style that quite yet. Let's go ahead and finish this particular video up with styling our box here. So we have vid container first, video container. And, oh, we forgot. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So fitzNewsCSS, we'll finish this out first. We'll say footer is, we'll say minimum height we want is, we'll say 8VH. And we'll give it a background color of, we'll say, let's see, we'll go slate gray. So that way we can at least see it. We didn't really put anything in the footer. That will be a section we deal with later. But this way you can at least see what is what. So this is just our page stuff. The reason for external CSS on this, hit Control S and save that. The reason for external CSS on this is indeed because this will apply to multiple pages, and we do not want to have to do it twice. So, source code, this is going to be the page-specific CSS. We could probably do this in the external file, but if it's for this page, why mess with it? We'll just write it here. So for our video container, we want to first do a couple of special things to make this work. So we're going to go ahead and do the display of flex for this one. And we're going to do a flex wrap of wrap. We indeed want them to wrap to the new line when they are ready to do so. We'll give it a padding as well, just so, again, it doesn't touch the outside. And we'll just give it a 1VH because I don't know that we're going to do anything with the specific color for that. But I guess that's kind of up to you as it goes. So we'll justify the content to the center. And then we'll set a background color for now because I just want you to see what this is. And we'll just set it for maroon, just so you can see kind of where this goes on the page and what it's doing, and just have it be represented. So our video container is now just set up as our Flexbox display. The next thing that we need to set up is our actual videos. So where are we at here? Dreamweaver let me down. Vidbox. Oops. So we want to say that this is going to have a width of our 30%, which is pretty standard for us. And then we are then going to go ahead and give it a margin of, we'll say 2VH for right now. And we'll say that we want this also to have a padding of 2VH. And that might be a little bit too much. We'll see as we get into it what happens. And then we'll set a background color for this as well. And we'll just set this we'll go antique white, because that way we can at least see it. And that's concerning because it's not doing the thing we want it to do. Oh, there it is. Interesting. All right. I guess it is a well-documented fact Dreamweaver does like to crash, doesn't it? So for then, on the small screen, you can see it doesn't really look good yet. And that's where media queries come in. But on this screen, it looks much better. That's definitely what we're looking for. Inside of our video box, VidBox, and then we said we put an H3 in there as the heading. Let's go ahead and set that to have a background color of, I don't know, we'll go with something, we'll go with my favorite, Rebecca Purple. When you do this one, you should absolutely set this to be actually good-looking colors. And then we'll go ahead and set this a 1VH padding as well. And then the other couple things in there are VidBox iframe. A little ambitious with the enter key today. We'll say that we want that to go ahead and fit in the space allotted. We gave our VidBox there a little bit of padding, so we don't necessarily need to give it like 90 whatever percent. We'll just go 100%. We'll display that one as a block element, and then we should call that good. Hopefully, it does indeed fit really nicely inside of our box. Last thing for this one is going to be our paragraph. So VidBox P. We're just going to say that we want this to have a padding as well of 1VH, just like the heading, so it lines up like we need it there, and it doesn't touch the iframe. And then let's do one last thing with this particular one. So something you can always do is Google Fonts. So Google Fonts you can always include for free, and there's a lot of different things on here where you can do, and there's usually a link tag that you need, but let's go ahead and click on this one. So you can pick one that's good, but I'm going to go ahead and this Menslava or whatever this is, I'm going to select that. So we have one font family selected, and here's our link tag right down here. And we just go ahead and we copy this, and we'll pop this into our page here, right underneath our other link tag for fitzNews CSS. And if you noticed, it tells us how to change that font family. Whoa, hello. It tells us what we need to add to change that font family. So if we go and we add that to our VidBox paragraph tag, we can actually go and use that to change the font. Now this one for this particular thing does not look very good, but I guess for the sake of consistency, I'll add it to the H3 too. But you should pick one that's a little bit more appropriate for this particular setup. So this is the general setup, what you're going to do for the videos. As a start, we can definitely add some more things. But the nice thing about this particular setup here is when we have our VidBox, every week when fitzNews comes out, we're going to add more videos. So they're going to line up real nice like that. And even at the larger page sizes, they're going to line up real nicely. And that's a good setup for, I think, a box of videos, something that's expandable and really easy to use. And that's what I'd like you to do. So that's an extraordinarily long video, but that should be it for now. Stay tuned for more in our next video.